The 2002 Khankala Mi-26 crash occurred on August 19, 2002 when a team of Chechen separatists with a man-portable air defense system brought down a Russian Mi-26 helicopter in a minefield, which resulted in the death of 127 Russian soldiers in the greatest loss of life in the history of helicopter aviation. It was also the most deadly aviation disaster ever suffered by the Russian armed forces, as well as the worst loss of life in a single day since 1999. Attack. On 19 August 2002, Chechen separatist fighters with the Russian-made 9K-38 IGLA shoulder-fired, heat-seeking surface-to-air missile hit an overloaded Mi-26 heavy transport helicopter, causing it to crash land and burn at Khankala military air base near Chechny's capital city of Grozny. The helicopter was ferrying at least 140 soldiers and officers belonging to various units from the Russian Air Force base at Mozdok, Republic of North Ossetia-Alania. According to Pavel Faganhowick, the missile hit one of the engines as the Mi-26 was approaching Khankala, and the helicopter crash-landed in a minefield that made up part of the federal military headquarters' perimeter defenses. Some of the survivors, attempting to abandon the wrecked Mi-26, are reported to have been killed by friendly anti-personnel mine explosions. The interior of the helicopter flooded with fuel and its jammed doors could not be opened. Only the crew of 5 and 29 passengers managed to escape through the small cockpit exit hatch. At least 4 of surviving soldiers died over the next few days from severe burns. Russian forces from Khankala launched a search for the attackers immediately after the crash, but only managed to recover the spent tube that had contained the IGLA missile. Aftermath. On August 21, 2002, a day of mourning was declared for the following day by the Russian President Vladimir Putin in connection with the catastrophe, which the media called the Second Kursk. The separatist news agency Kavkaz Center described the crash as the greatest act of sabotage by Chechen fighters in 2 years. Some Russian media, including Izvestia, voiced anger at an apparent cover-up attempt, accusing the military of, as usual, trying to conceal the casualties. The crash led to the suspension of the Russian Army's aviation commander, Colonel General Vitaly Pavlov, who then resigned from his post in September. The attack was filmed. On September 24, the footage was obtained by Associated Press from a Turkish news agency along with a statement by separatist Chechen President Aslan Maskhadov, announcing, "Here is a helicopter that is on fire and falling near Khankala. It was hit by our IGLA anti-aircraft missile." Quote. It was also the first video that showed Maskhadov using Islamic insignia and flag, instead of nationalist ones, and referring to the fighters around him as our mujahideen, in what was seen as his apparent sudden turn towards radicalism. In an undated tape, Maskhadov recalls the Russian investigators' early official version that the helicopter crashed because of technical difficulties before announcing that it was shot down. He then presents a handgun to the fighter said to have downed the helicopter. The tape was also aired on television in Chechnya when the separatists used the REN TV frequency to broadcast it locally during that same month. It was believed that the missiles that destroyed the helicopter were fired from one of the many battle-damaged 5-story apartment blocks in the outskirts of Grozny. The Russian military responded to the loss of the Mi-26 by demolishing several blocks in the already half-destroyed Khankala residential area, adjoining the base in November, in spite of protests from the pro-Russian Chechen administration. It was initially flatly denied by Colonel Boris Podprigora, but later admitted by the Russian military spokesman Major General Ilya Shaborkin, who who said that the action was carried out with the goal of preventing the fighters from using the area to lay ambushes close to the base. As a result, around 100 families were left homeless, and NTV reported they were given barely any time to take only some personal belongings. Regarding this, General Shaborkan commented that the local residents had been watching the bandits preparing terror attacks and failed to inform law enforcement of the plans, which is considered to be abetting illegal armed formations and complicity in a criminal plot. Quote, in response, the Russian State Duma deputy for Chechnya, Aslanbek Aslakanov, demanded an explanation from the top military command in Chechnya. The area has been also shelled in August following an unrelated crash of a Mi-28 helicopter carrying 2 high-ranking Russian military officials, killing everyone aboard, which was allegedly caused by a missile fired from the Oktyabrsky district of Grozny. The Mi-26 helicopter was designed to carry 80 troops, while the one that was destroyed was loaded with at least 140 people, according to BBC, which claimed citing Kommersant. The Mi-26 often flies to Khankala with 100 to 110 people on board, plus a huge amount of cargo, including cheap Ossetian vodka. Fagenhauer wrote, I once had a ride on a Mi-26 from Mozdok to Grozny, together with some 50 service personnel and journalists on top of a stockpile of crates with tons of artillery shells and other munitions. Quote, in 2003, the Russian officer in charge of the helicopter, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Kudjikov, was charged and convicted of negligence and violating flight regulations. Pravda commented that he had to become a scapegoat, and according to Kudjikov himself, the judge told him that he should have refused to go to Chechnya in the first place. A Chechen accused of transporting the missile, preparing it to be fired and filming the attack, a 27-year-old Grozny resident Dokudij Atamirov, was found guilty of planning and carrying out an act of terror in April 2004. He was sentenced to life imprisonment for terrorism, premeditated murder with special cruelty, banditry, and attempted murder of servicemen, and was also ordered to pay 100,000 rubles to the relatives of each victim and 50,000 rubles to each of the survivors. At his trial, Dij Atamirov maintained that he was not a terrorist but a soldier of the state of Ichkeria. The other 4 Chechens accused of taking part in the attack remained at large.